My grandson brought his girlfriend home to meet me, and I served them dinner on my finest china. What they didn't know was that I'd just discovered Tyler had stolen my late daughter's wedding ring to pay off his gambling debts. The look on their faces when I placed the pawn shop receipt next to their dessert plates was worth 24 years of raising an ungrateful thief. Let me back up to 3 hours earlier. I was getting ready for this big family dinner. Tyler had been going on about Madison for months, how she was the one, and how he wanted his beloved grandmother to meet her. I'd been so excited. At 55, after losing my daughter in a car accident when Tyler was just 6 months old, he was all the family I had left. I'd raised him, loved him, sacrificed everything for him. The grocery bill for tonight's dinner had been $87, more than I usually spend in 2 weeks. But Tyler had specifically requested prime rib, and I wanted everything perfect. I'd even bought wine, something I never did since my disability check barely covered the basics. $438 left until next month, and I just spent nearly a fifth of it on one meal. But family was worth it, right? I went to get my mother's pearl necklace from the jewelry box, the one piece I'd saved to wear for special occasions. That's when I noticed the empty velvet slots. Sarah's wedding ring. Gone. The diamond earrings my husband had given me for our anniversary. Gone. The gold bracelet Tyler had made such a fuss over as a child, always asking to touch it, always saying, "Someday this will be mine, right, Grandma?" Gone. My hands started shaking so hard I had to sit down on the bed. There had to be an explanation. Maybe I'd moved them during one of my cleaning fits? Maybe Tyler had taken them to be cleaned as a surprise? But deep down I knew. The same sick feeling I'd had 6 months ago when money started disappearing from my purse. 20 here, 50 there. The same feeling when I'd found betting slips in his jacket pocket, and he'd laughed it off as just for fun with the guys. I counted backwards through the missing items again. The pearls, worth maybe 300. Sarah's ring, at least 800, maybe more. The earrings, 500 easy. The bracelet, it was 18-karat gold, probably 400. Over $2,000 in jewelry. More than half my monthly income. Gone. Tyler. I called out, my voice surprisingly steady. He was in the kitchen, actually helping set the table for once. First time in months he'd lifted a finger around the house. "Yeah, Grandma Rose? Where are my jewels?" He didn't even flinch. That's what hurt the most. Not even a guilty look or a stutter. Just complete, practiced indifference. "What jewels? You're always misplacing things." Always misplacing things. Like I was some senile old woman who couldn't remember where she put her own belongings. I'd spent 30 years as a head nurse, managing entire hospital floors, keeping track of hundreds of patients and thousands of details. My mind was sharp as ever, sharper than his apparently. My mother's pearls. Sarah's wedding ring. The earrings Dad gave me. Don't lie to me, Tyler. Grandma, you're being paranoid. Maybe you put them somewhere safe and forgot? You know how stress affects memory. Stress affects memory. Like he was quoting from some psychology textbook. Like he'd researched exactly what to say to make me doubt myself. That's when Madison walked in and I got my first good look at her. Pretty little thing, all blonde hair and designer clothes that probably cost more than my monthly disability check. Her purse was Coach, I recognized it from the commercials. Her shoes were those expensive ones with the red soles. Her jewelry was real gold. Not the cheap stuff you get at department stores. "Is everything okay?" she asked sweetly, her voice like honey over broken glass. "Fine," Tyler said quickly. "Grandma's just..." You know how elderly people get confused sometimes. Elderly people. I was 55, not 95. I'd been forced into early retirement after a back injury, not because my mind was gone, and I wasn't confused about anything, least of all the empty jewelry box upstairs. But I smiled. I nodded. I walked back to the kitchen and finished preparing the meal I couldn't afford, serving it like the perfect grandmother I'd always tried to be. During dinner, they chatted about their future together, their wedding plans, how they were saving money for a house. Madison mentioned they'd been looking at places in Bellevue, the expensive part of town where houses started at $500,000. Tyler mentioned you've been so generous to him over the years, Madison said, cutting into her prime rib with the good silver I'd inherited from my mother. It's wonderful how family takes care of each other. Yes, I said carefully, watching Tyler avoid my eyes. I've given Tyler everything I could, sometimes more than I should have. He told me you paid for his college, Madison continued. Both times. Both times. So she knew he'd dropped out and started over. Did she know why? Did she know about the gambling that started in his freshman year? Did she know about the debts that forced him to withdraw before they'd let him register for spring classes? Tyler's always been smart, I said. Just needs to apply himself. Tyler finally looked up. Grandma's being modest. She's basically supported me my whole life. Paid for everything, school, car, apartment when I needed it. She's like a saint. A saint. Right. More like a fool. But Madison was beaming at him like he just confessed to charity work. That's so sweet. My family's never been close like that. Tyler's lucky to have you. After dinner, while they settled in the living room to watch some show on Netflix, I excused myself to clean up. But instead of washing dishes, I did what I should have done months ago. I went upstairs and searched Tyler's room. 24 years of being the understanding grandmother, the one who respected his privacy, the one who never went through his things. 24 years of giving him the benefit of the doubt. 24 years of being an idiot. His laptop was open on the bed, probably left there when Madison arrived. The screen showed a betting site, horse racing. His account balance. Negative $2,347. His recent bets. All losses. Going back weeks, all losses. In his dresser drawer underneath clothes I'd bought him, I found bank statements. 3 different credit cards, all maxed out. Total debt. Over $15,000. Monthly minimum payments. $480. His last job, the one at the electronics store that he'd quit 3 months ago because his manager was a jerk, had paid $11 an hour. Part-time. In his wallet, stuffed behind his driver's license, a crumpled receipt from Murphy's pawn shop dated 3 days ago. 1 diamond ring, estimated value $800, loan amount $400. 1 pair diamond earrings, estimated value $500, loan amount $250. 1 gold bracelet, estimated value $400, loan amount $200. 1 pearl necklace, estimated value $300, loan amount $150. My jewelry. All my jewelry. Sold for a total of $1,000. Less than half what it was worth. I sat on his bed, the same bed I'd assembled when he was 7 and outgrew his toddler bed, the same bed I'd sat beside when he had nightmares after his mother died, the same bed where I'd helped him with homework for 12 years of school, and felt something inside me break. Not my heart. That had been breaking slowly for months as I watched him lie and steal, and throw away every opportunity I'd given him. No, this was different. This was the part of me that made excuses for him, that found reasons to forgive him, that chose love over truth. The part that said, he's just going through a rough patch, and he's still grieving his mother, and he'll figure it out eventually. That part was done. Dead. Buried under 24 years of evidence that love without boundaries wasn't love at all, it was just enablement with a prettier name. I walked downstairs where they were cuddled on my couch. The couch I'd bought on credit 3 years ago and was still paying off, making plans for their future with money stolen from my past. Tyler, I said, standing in the doorway with the pawn shop receipt in my hand. Madison, we need to talk. What about, Grandma? Tyler asked, not even looking away from the TV. Some crime show where the detectives always caught the bad guy in the end. I sat down across from them and placed the pawn shop receipt on the coffee table, right next to the wine glasses I'd filled with a bottle that cost more than my weekly grocery budget. About this. The color drained from Tyler's face like someone had pulled a plug. Madison looked confused, picking up the receipt with perfectly manicured nails. I don't understand, she said, squinting at the small print. What is this? It's a receipt for my daughter's wedding ring, I said, my voice calm as a lake before a storm. Tyler's mother's wedding ring. He sold it 3 days ago, along with every other piece of jewelry I owned. Madison's mouth fell open. She turned to Tyler, who was now looking anywhere but at me, the ceiling, the floor, his hands. Anywhere but into the eyes of the woman who'd raised him. Tyler? Is this true? Grandma, I can explain. Explain what? How you've been stealing from me for months. How you told your girlfriend I'm getting confused and forgetful when really you've been gaslighting me about my own belongings. How you pawned your dead mother's wedding ring to pay gambling debts. It's not like that, Tyler stammered, finally meeting my eyes. I was going to get it back. I just needed a loan and I knew you'd say no. Because it's stealing, Tyler. You don't borrow someone's jewelry without asking. You don't pawn your dead mother's wedding ring to pay bookies. You don't steal from the woman who's supported you your entire life. Madison stood up abruptly, her designer clothes suddenly looking like a costume. Gambling debts? Tyler, you told me you'd stop betting. You promised me after Vegas. After Vegas. So this wasn't the first time. How many promises had he broken? How many lies had he told her? I have stopped. This was just what? I interrupted, standing up too. My back protested, the injury that had forced me into early retirement, the injury that had cut my income in half. Just the latest in a long line of lies? Madison, did you know Tyler's been stealing from me for months? Did you know he owes money to half the bookies in Seattle? Did you know he's $15,000 in debt on credit cards? The look on Madison's face told me she didn't know any of it. The look on Tyler's face told me he'd been planning to keep it that way. Probably until after they were married and her credit became his problem too. 15,000? Madison whispered. Plus the gambling debts, I said, pulling out the bank statements I'd found. Plus whatever he owes to people who don't send polite monthly bills. You went through my room? Tyler exploded, jumping to his feet. You had no right. I had no right? In my own house? Tyler, you've been stealing from me. You've been lying to me for months. You've been treating me like some senile old woman who can't keep track of her own belongings. I think I've earned the right to protect myself. Madison was shaking her head, backing toward the door. I can't. This isn't. Tyler, you lied to me about everything. Madison, wait, Tyler called after her, but she was already grabbing her Coach purse from the entry table. You told me you had your life together. You said you had savings. You said the gambling was just casual fun with friends. It was casual. It is casual. This is just a rough patch. $15,000 is not casual, Tyler. Stealing from your grandmother is not casual. Lying to your girlfriend about who you really are is not casual. She turned to me and I saw tears in her eyes. Real tears, not the crocodile tears Tyler had been perfecting since he was 5 years old. I'm sorry, Mrs. Rose. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. It's not your fault, honey, I said gently. Tyler's very good at hiding who he really is. Don't call me, Madison said to Tyler without looking at him. Not until you figure out who you want to be. And don't call me until you pay your grandmother back every penny you stole. The front door slammed, and Tyler whirled on me like a trapped animal. Look what you've done. You've ruined everything. Madison was the best thing that ever happened to me. I've ruined everything? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Tyler, I didn't make you steal from me. I didn't make you lie to your girlfriend. I didn't make you gamble away money you don't have. I didn't make you accumulate $15,000 in debt while living rent-free in my house, eating my food, using my electricity. You did all of that yourself. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. These people I owe money to, they're not patient people. They don't just send bills and wait politely. Then maybe you shouldn't have borrowed money from them in the first place. Maybe you should have gotten a job. Maybe you should have acted like the adult you're supposed to be instead of a spoiled child who expects grandma to fix everything. Tyler started pacing, running his hands through his hair. A gesture I remembered from when he was little and had broken something. But he wasn't little anymore, and what he'd broken this time couldn't be fixed with a hug and a trip to the toy store. You're supposed to help me. You're my family. You're supposed to have my back no matter what. Having your back doesn't mean enabling your addiction, Tyler. Having your back means telling you the truth, even when it hurts. And the truth is, you're 24 years old and you're acting like a spoiled teenager who thinks the world owes him something. I'm not spoiled. You are spoiled. You've been spoiled since the day your mother died because I felt guilty that I couldn't save her. So I tried to make it up to you by giving you everything you wanted. But you know what? Sarah wouldn't want this. She wouldn't want you stealing from family. She wouldn't want you lying and manipulating and throwing away every opportunity you've been given. Don't talk about my mother like you knew what she wanted. I knew your mother better than anyone, Tyler. She was my daughter. And she would be ashamed of what you've become." The words hung in the air like smoke from a fire. I immediately regretted them, not because they weren't true, but because I could see them hitting Tyler like physical blows. "Fine," he said quietly. "If that's how you really feel, then I guess we're done here." "Tyler, it doesn't have to be this way." "Yes, it does. You've made it clear how you see me. A spoiled thief who's a disappointment to his dead mother." "Well, congratulations, Grandma. You finally told the truth." He headed for the stairs, and I knew he was going to pack. Part of me wanted to run after him, to take it all back, to apologize and beg him to stay. That was the old Rose, the one who chose peace over truth, the one who enabled rather than helped. But the new Rose, the one who'd been born in Tyler's bedroom while reading his bank statements, stayed seated. "Tyler!" I called after him. He stopped but didn't turn around. "The jewelry. I want it all back." "I don't have it anymore." "Then you'll figure out how to get it back. Or I'll file a police report for theft." Now he turned around, his face a mixture of shock and anger. "You wouldn't call the police on your own grandson?" "Try me." We stared at each other across the living room. The living room where I'd taught him to walk, where we'd opened Christmas presents, where I'd held him when he cried about missing his mother. 24 years of memories, and it had come to this. Finally, Tyler nodded once and went upstairs. I could hear him moving around up there, opening drawers, slamming the closet door, packing up 24 years of living in my house, eating my food, spending my money. Part of me expected him to come downstairs with some dramatic speech about how sorry he was, how he'd change, how he just needed one more chance. But when he came down an hour later with a duffel bag and his jacket, he didn't look at me at all. "I'll get your jewelry back," he said to the floor. "It'll take me a few days to get the money together, but I'll get it back. And then I'm done. Don't call me, don't look for me. I'm done with this family. Tyler, it doesn't have to be this way. If you just what? Just let you control my life forever? Just keep being your grateful little charity case who owes you everything? I'm 24 years old, Grandma. I don't need your permission to live my life." "You're right," I said quietly. "You don't need my permission. But you also don't get to live your life with my money anymore." He looked at me then, really looked at me, and for a moment I saw something that might have been understanding. Or maybe just exhaustion. "Yeah," he said. "I guess I don't." The front door closed behind him. Not slammed this time, just closed with a quiet click that somehow felt more final than any dramatic exit could have been. I sat in my living room, surrounded by the remains of the dinner I'd worked so hard to prepare. The dinner that had cost me $87 I couldn't afford, and felt oddly at peace. For the first time in years, I didn't have to wonder what Tyler was going to steal next. I didn't have to worry about what lies he was telling, or what debts he was accumulating. I didn't have to choose between enabling him and feeling guilty about not enabling him. My phone buzzed. A text from Tyler. "Ring and everything else will be back by Friday. Then we're done." I typed back. "That's your choice, not mine." He didn't respond. The next few days passed quietly. I ate simple meals, watched my shows, worked in the small garden behind my apartment. For the first time in months, nobody was asking me for money. Nobody was making me doubt my own memory. Nobody was treating me like a convenient ATM with a guilt trip function. It was lonely, but it was peaceful. Friday morning, I woke up to find a small box on my porch. Inside was all my jewelry, the ring, the earrings, the bracelet, the necklace. Everything exactly as it had been, though the ring looked like it had been professionally cleaned. There was also an envelope with $600 in cash and a note. For the interest and pawn fees. Don't contact me. I held Sarah's ring up to the morning light, watching the diamond catch the sun. I thought about her, about how proud she'd been of this ring when David proposed. How she'd worn it every day for 5 years until cancer made her fingers too swollen to wear jewelry. How she'd made me promise to keep it safe for Tyler, for when he found the right girl and was ready to settle down. "He's not ready, baby girl," I whispered to the empty air. And maybe he never will be. But the ring was safe now. That was something. 3 weeks later, Gloria from next door knocked on my door with a casserole and the latest neighborhood gossip. "How's Tyler doing?" she asked while we shared coffee and her famous tuna noodle casserole. "Haven't seen him around lately." "He moved out," I said simply. "Oh, to live with that pretty girlfriend? How exciting." "No, they broke up. He's on his own now." Gloria's face fell. She'd watched Tyler grow up too, had always been fond of him despite his recent troubles. "Oh, Rose, I'm sorry. Are you okay?" Was I okay? That was a good question. I was lonely sometimes. I missed having someone to cook for, someone to fuss over. I missed the Tyler I'd raised, the sweet little boy who used to bring me flowers from the neighbor's garden and help me bake cookies. But I didn't miss the lying. I didn't miss the stealing. I didn't miss the constant worry and guilt and second-guessing myself. "I'm fine," I told Gloria. "Better than fine, actually." And I meant it. 2 months later, my phone rang. A known number, but something made me answer it. "Grandma Rose? It's Tyler." My heart jumped, but I kept my voice steady. "Hello, Tyler. I wanted to tell you. I checked myself into a program. Gambling addiction treatment. It's a 90-day inpatient program up in Everett." "That's good, Tyler. That's a very good first step." I also wanted to say, "I'm sorry. About the jewelry. About the money. About all of it. I know saying sorry doesn't fix anything, but I needed you to know. I appreciate that." There was a long pause. Then, maybe when I get out, if you want, maybe we could try again? Start over." I looked at Sarah's ring on my finger, thought about all the years of enabling and excuses and unconditional love that had become unconditional enabling. Thought about the difference between loving someone and helping them destroy themselves. "Maybe," I said carefully. "But things would be different, Tyler. Very different." "I know. I understand. Do you? Because if you come back into my life, you come back as an adult. You pay your own way. You tell the truth. You take responsibility for your choices. No more free passes because you're family. No more excuses because your mother died. No more treating me like a bank account with legs. I understand. I hope you do. I really hope you do. Because I love you, Tyler, but I won't enable you anymore. I won't be stolen from anymore. I won't be lied to anymore. If you can't accept that, then we don't have a relationship to rebuild. I can accept it. I want to accept it. I'm tired of being the person I became." "Good. Then maybe there's hope for us after all." After I hung up, I sat in my garden, watching the flowers I'd planted after Tyler left. They were finally starting to bloom, late summer roses that wouldn't show their faces until they were ready, until the conditions were right. New growth after pruning away the dead parts. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is stop loving them the way they expect, and start loving them the way they need. Even if it breaks your heart. Even if it costs you everything you thought you wanted. Even if it means sitting alone in a quiet house, eating dinner for one, wondering if you did the right thing. Especially then. 6 months later, Tyler called again. He'd completed the program. He had a job. Night security at a warehouse. Nothing glamorous but steady work. He had a small apartment he shared with another guy from the program. He wanted to take me to lunch. We met at a diner downtown, nothing fancy. Tyler looked different, thinner, older, but cleaner somehow. Like he'd been carrying something heavy for years and had finally set it down. "How are you doing, Grandma?" he asked after we'd ordered. "I'm doing well. Keeping busy. How are you?" "Better. Some days are harder than others, but better." He paused, stirring sugar into his coffee. "I wanted to thank you." "For what?" "For not enabling me anymore. For making me face what I'd become. For loving me enough to let me fall." I felt tears threatening. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. "I know. But it was the right thing. I would have kept taking from you until there was nothing left. From you, from Madison, from anyone who let me. I was a vampire, Grandma. I sucked the life out of everyone who loved me." "You were sick, Tyler. Addiction is a sickness. Maybe. But being sick doesn't give you the right to hurt people. Being sick doesn't excuse stealing from your grandmother, or lying to your girlfriend, or throwing away every opportunity you've been given. We ate our lunch in comfortable silence, and for the first time in years, I felt like I was having a conversation with my grandson instead of managing a crisis. "I'd like to stay in touch," Tyler said as we were getting ready to leave. "If that's okay with you. Maybe dinner once a month or something. Nothing big, just stay connected." "I'd like that too. And Grandma? I want to pay you back. Not just for the jewelry but for everything. I know it'll take years, but I want to try." "Tyler, you don't have to." "Yes, I do. I need to. Not because you're making me, but because I need to know I can. I need to know I'm capable of giving back instead of just taking." I reached across the table and squeezed his hand. "Okay, but slowly. No pressure. No guilt if you can't make a payment some month. No going back into debt trying to pay me back faster." "Understood." As we walked out of the diner together, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope? Not the desperate, grasping hope of someone who's trying to will a miracle into existence, but the quiet, steady hope of someone who's learned the difference between helping and enabling. Tyler wasn't fixed. Recovery isn't a destination, it's a daily choice. But for the first time since he was a little boy, he was making that choice himself instead of expecting me to make it for him. And that made all the difference. Pause here. What would you do if someone you loved was stealing from you? Would you call the police on family? Or would you keep enabling them hoping they'd change? Have you ever had to choose between protecting yourself and protecting someone else's feelings? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonates with you, if you've ever loved someone through their addiction or had to make the heartbreaking choice between helping and enabling, please share it with someone who might understand.